we're gonna move. Hello, thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is Jasmine. If this is your first video of mine, I film a lot of bodybuilding, thyroid, autoimmune wellness, all of that jazz. So if you want to stick around, make sure you give my video a like and a subscribe. So today's video was actually inspired by one of my friends in the gym, and he came up to me, and I keep, you know, my training very protected, but when someone asks me a question or asks my help, I'm definitely going to give it to them. And he came up to me and he was like, I think I'm just so obsessed with the way I look in the mirror that I can't make the progress that I know I need to make, or the improvements that I need to make. And he was like, how'd you get through that? And it literally just sparked an idea. And I was like, that is exactly what I need to speak about, because if I had some type of video to refer back to, I've done this for a long time, 10, 11 years. I've gone through my fair share of bulking and cutting. And I think that I have made a fair few mistakes. I would like to think I've had to learn from. And I don't think it's a mistake, because I think it's a lesson. So one of the first big pivotal pillars that I wanted to talk about was the skinny fat trap. So I was almost stuck on this maintenance loop where I was so obsessed with the scale and seeing a number that I was scared to lose my lines, lose my definition. And anyone that's gone through a prep knows that the first reverse is very tricky. So I thought I was just staying disciplined by staying lean, but I was actually staying small. And then almost, it was like my body was trying to store onto fat, and I turned into this skinny fat, not really a lot of definition. And I remember coming out of university, and I definitely wanted to be a certain size for my graduation. And I was like on this really regimented cut. And to be fair, now looking back, it was actually a prep. I was on probably like an hour of cardio a day. I was obsessed with making sure that I could feel my best. And looking back, I think that I had very, very little muscle. And that was probably due to years of, because I was 119 kilos at my heaviest, I was almost conscious to intentionally gain weight. And now looking back, I was almost skinny fat. Like I didn't really have much. To be fair, I didn't really have much muscle anywhere. And it really made me realize that I needed to build. I wanted to change my physique. I wanted to bodybuild. I wanted to have bigger legs. And that's exactly why I'm overlaying my training footage, because I actually wanted to understand how I could change certain muscles in my body to feel more confident, to feel stronger, especially as a female. So I wanted to get out of this maintenance trap of always feeling like I wanted to fit into this certain dress size, because that served that point in my life. And then I had a switch. The scale, yes, it's a great metric, and obviously I send it over to my coach. I weigh myself every day. But when I actually realized that what I look like right now at a body weight is going to look completely different than I did 5 years ago, and that's why I put side-by-side comparisons on Instagram, because literally muscle weighs more than fat. So therefore, if I weigh more on the scale, I am praying that I have more muscle. And I shifted my mindset to a performance goal. So last big off season, I'm saying 2023, I think, I was adamant. I came off stage, I said, I'm going to hip thrust 300 kilos. I was adamant that I wanted to hip thrust 300 kilos. Was it 200 or 300? It was 200 or 300. But anyway, I was adamant that that's what I actually wanted to do. And I was so engrossed by that goal that it helped me transition my mindset. And when you're doing a long bulk or a long improvement season, you have to have performance metrics. So once you transition from the mindset from the way that you look to more the way that you feel, how strong you feel in the gym, especially as a female, there's little things like being able to walk up the stairs with my shopping, being able to lift the shopping by myself, being able to put things away. That was so important for me. And I felt like I had to eat to hit that number. So if I wanted to hip thrust 200 kilos, I needed to eat to be able to perform that. Food was fuel. Food is fuel. So I had to embrace the fluffiness, the softness, and the feeling of finally achieving my goal. And hip thrusting, it was indescribable. So I felt like for me, having performance metrics, especially if that's shoulder pressing, 20 kilos aside, which is a lot for someone my size, but it definitely helped me. And I do not regret at all pushing up to 76 kilos. Now, let's put this in perspective. That is not heavy. For my frame and my muscle mass, I was carrying a little bit more fat than I needed to. So that's just putting it in perspective for my frame. And I don't go off by the scale, but how I felt. I couldn't even walk up the stairs. I was so out of breath. I got to a point where I was on a ridiculous amount of food. I think it was 500, 600 grams of carb a day. I had to have gluten-free cereal because I just couldn't eat. I had no appetite. I was just looking at food and I was like, right, I've got to put it in. Don't do that. There's a fine balance where you still want a good appetite, and I've learned that this time. So when I transitioned from the performance heals the mindset, I really decided that hip thrusting X amount was more important than the food becoming scary or the way I looked. I actually really, really enjoy my off-season bulking body. I love the fact that every time I push up or bulk, I have a little bit more muscle. So the scale is irrelevant. And to get to this point compared to where I was 10 years ago is mind blowing, because I realized, of course, I'm going to weigh more because I have muscle. So I hope I weigh more. And the way that my upper body looks, I naturally have a very petite upper body. So building my legs, because I was a dancer for 15 years, is a little bit easier, but building my upper body is just such a chore. So when I actually decided that I wanted to shoulder press on the prime, a plate aside, it isn't a lot to most people, but for me, who started at 5 kilo aside, seeing that strength progress week on week is so enjoyable, and it's so fulfilling to go to the gym. Sometimes you're going to stagnate, sometimes you're not going to progress, right? Facts. But when you do progress and you finally do get that performance metrics, you start seeing your meals as the reason why you're hitting your PRs. So if you do not eat, you're not going to be able to hit those PRs, make those changes to your physique, but more importantly, feel strong. Especially as a female, I think it's so important to feel strong. And the amount of women that I come in contact with, speak to, especially with online coaching, it's, oh, I don't want to lift that heavy, I'll get bulky, or I don't want to do this, I'll get bulky. And I'm thinking, no, I don't think you actually realize that you will not get bulky, you just become stronger. And you also get that mindset where you can achieve anything, because you start to lift weights that you never thought you could. I never thought I could full stack a cable for a kickback, but my glutes are extraordinarily strong. So having those little wins, and I think it really topped the cherry on the cake when one of the boys came up to the gym and said, do you have really big legs for your frame? I was like, granted, I probably don't have the biggest, I definitely don't have the biggest legs when there's wellness, but for my frame compared to where I was, it's my journey versus my journey, and that's exactly what I'm trying to show you here. So the real reason why I think I've seen, well, I know I've seen the most progress is body composition versus body weight. So the biggest changes didn't happen when I was at my leanest, when I was dieting. They happened after a long, consistent bulk, because I finally built the tissue that I wanted to build. I never had abs before. I've actually started Pilates, if you've been following along my journey. Now what that's doing is helping me brace, helping me engage my core, then positively helping me progress further in the gym. And I truly believe that Pilates and yoga has helped me so much to the point where I don't think I would be able to lift to the intensity or the accuracy that I ever have if I wasn't doing it. And for someone that's go, 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 to be able to actually achieve this is, I'm I'm positively happy about it. So you can't carve a marble statue without the block of marble first. So you are going to have to, if you want to see meaningful changes, just sit slightly above maintenance. You don't have to be in some crazy bulk. I've been there, done that, done it myself, literally. But you can just be slightly above maintenance depending on how you're feeling, especially as a female, having a regular monthly cycle, making sure your hormones are in check, get your regular blood work, but making sure that you can perform. Generally, if you see it across, let's say, a 6 to 8 week time frame, you're seeing us in the gym. And if you focus on that instead of focusing on the mirror, that's also okay. And I definitely, one other tip, get clothes you're comfortable in. Do not hold on to clothes that was my small body or etc. Let go of that part of your life and you'll actually feel so much more fulfilled. So if you want to follow along the growth era, which is my series all about becoming the best version of myself spiritually, mentally, physically, make sure that you follow along. And next time that you go through your bulk, refer back to this video. Remember the tips. And if you have any questions, my DMs are always open. Apart from that, I'll see you next week.